Hello everybody and welcome back. I'm Kari and today I'm doing my November TBR. So I've come across a couple of different sort of readathons, one of which is Tome Topple, which I learned about from Squibbles Reads, and I'll link that down below, and the other one is Nonfiction November, which as it happens I think was the same video. I'm not doing them strictly speaking as a participant, but I am using them as sort of thematic guidelines for my reading. So the first one is for Nonfiction November. I don't have a lot of time this November because, you know, finals are coming up in a month and law school finals are intense. So I'm only reading one, but that is The Wars of the Roses by Dan Jones. I read his one about the Plantagenets a while ago, and I really love his writing. It's just incredibly fun, and there's a fair bit of snark in there because he's British and it's great. Also, the Tudors are, like I've said before, my bread and butter, so it's about time I actually figured out what the Wars of the Roses are and maybe hopefully figure out who's who down to cousins, because I've got the major players, but you know, there's still always more I could learn. So this is my Nonfiction November book. And then for Tome Topple, which takes place between November 17th and the 30th, I am reading, or planning to read anyway, two books. And they are The Covenant by James Michener and Tower of Dawn by Sarah J. Maas. So we'll start with this one since I have it. Tower of Dawn, I realized, came out in September, and I pre-ordered it, so you know, I got it the day it came out. But I haven't read it yet for whatever reason. I know it's about Kale and when he goes off with, I don't remember the girl, and it takes place during the same time as Empire of Storms. I am excited to read this. I've heard that it redeems Kale, although he didn't necessarily need redeeming in my eyes. I just kind of thought of him as a secondary character and that was good enough. But this one's over 600 pages, which is more than the 500 required for Tome Topple, and I'm hoping I can sit down and read this in one day. So excited to read that one. And then the other one is The Covenant by James Michener. And I've heard amazing things about Michener's writing from a lot of family members. I haven't read anything of his, but The Covenant, which is this one, is about South Africa, and I am very biased towards South Africa. I love it because I went there last summer and I fell for it hardcore. So I'm very excited to see what this book is, and this one's over 1,200 pages. Hopefully I can get through both of them, because even for me that's a lot of pages to read, but really excited. And then the next book is one I'm currently reading. It's also a hefty book, but it's a library book, hence the reason I'm not reading it for Tome Topple, and that is Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare. This book also has been out a while, and people have just raved about it. I've heard it's the best of her trilogies, or the start of the best of her trilogies anyway, and I will let you know how I feel about this when I get anywhere. I'm only about 200 pages in. I'm kind of enjoying it, mostly kind of. I don't know how I feel about this book, but yeah. So this is what I'm reading. And then, so the next book I have mixed feelings about. My friend in Nicaragua has not been badgering me to read this author, but when we were in high school she talked about him non-stop, which is the reason I've never read any of his books to date. I just couldn't. On principle, I refused to read his books. And this is one that I am not really looking forward to at all, but it is The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. I don't know anything about this. I don't care. I'm honestly reading it because it was cheap enough for me to be willing to buy it, and I figure maybe I should read something. This will probably be the only John Green book I actually ever read, and I have no high hopes for this at all. Then the last book, to end on a high note, is one that again goes back to the Tudors, my bread and butter, and I'm quite excited to read about it because you don't hear about anybody before Henry VII, really. If you know more about them, you know that there's an Owen and a Jasper somewhere in that family line, but you don't necessarily know a lot about them. I don't know a lot about them. Specifically, I don't know. So I found a historical fiction book that talks about Owen Tudor, which is kind of the first one, and it is, well, Owen. It's the first one in a trilogy, and it's by Tony Riches. Like I said, this is about Owen Tudor in 1422, and he, Owen, and Catherine of Valois fall in love, and they have Jasper. So eventually I will get the second and third books and continue with this trilogy, because regardless of whether it's phenomenal or not, I'm going to finish it. But those are all the books I'm planning on reading in November. Hopefully I get through more so I can get through my yearly challenge. But that's all I got for now, so if you like this video, give it a big thumbs up. If you want to see more like this, hit that subscribe button down below. As always, I will link my Goodreads down below, and I will see you again soon. Bye!